What is going on? GeoFuck Site Perspectives here, and then this is another episode of Where is Our Money Really Going? I mean, I know I'm not the only one out here that feels similar to what I'm about to say. A lot of us are working full-time jobs, 40 or more hours a week. By the time we get paid, some of us get paid weekly, some of us get paid bi-weekly, some of us get paid bi-monthly, some of us get paid monthly. Regardless of the setup, by the time we get paid, the vast majority of our bills are going to, the vast majority of our paycheck are going to the bills. And all of this trying to tell somebody that they can budget their way out of poverty or they can cut back on this, that, and the other to save money. Realistically speaking, it's not realistic. The stuff that you're asking people to cut back on, for example, you're telling people, well, you don't really need to have Wi-Fi. I'm sorry, but if you're working from home, working remote, working hybrid, or you're even applying for jobs, you're going to need to have internet. You're going to need to have Wi-Fi. So a lot of the stuff that you're trying to tell people that they don't need is actually considered a necessity in this day and age. So, because I look at my own setup, again, by the time I pay my car payment, my car insurance, utilities, and then I pay the water bill, that's every 3 months. You buy groceries, you've got, your utilities for heating and cooling. Oh my God. I mean, the internet, everything is just expensive. There's no getting around it. And our money has no real value at this point. And then what gets me a lot too with these jobs are if you're just starting, if you're a new employee and you're just starting a job, a lot of times you have to wait basically a month to get your first paycheck because the way they do their payroll is so archaic and out of date. I mean, I started my new job November 6th and I didn't get my first paycheck from that job until November 30th. So, yeah, 3 weeks, essentially almost a month, until I got paid for the first time because their payroll is 2 weeks in arrears. So even when I got my first paycheck, I didn't get a full pay because the pay period was from November 1st through the 15th. I didn't start till November 6th. So I was still missing, 3 days on that paycheck? The 4th and the 5th were a weekend, and we typically don't work weekends. And even if you do work weekends, doesn't matter, your salary. So it's not like you're getting time and a half, double time, overtime. You're not getting any of that, which is another reason why I'm over salary jobs. I would much rather be hourly because at the end of the day, I want to be paid for every hour that I'm at work. I don't want to be doing this, can you work over and do this class or do this coaching session or come in on the weekends or whatever, and then you're not being compensated for that. I'm just saying. But again, and then we're constantly telling people that they need to save, at least 6 months of 6 months living expenses, which again is not realistic for your average person. First of all, we're only making the bare minimum. And then what gets me is it doesn't matter that people have years of experience. It doesn't matter that they have degrees and certifications. You're still not being compensated fairly. You're not being paid your worth. You're not even being paid to offset the cost of living because the vast majority of our wages and salaries do not reflect the cost of living, take inflation into consideration, let alone take in price gouging. We're just being screwed over, at the end of the day. And a lot of us are getting paid, and by the time we pay our bills, we're lucky to have $200 to $300 left for the next 2 weeks. It's ridiculous. And then in this day and age, we're single, right? So we barely make enough money to take care of ourselves as individuals, as adults. And to think that someone is going to be able to have additional funds left over to look out for other adults is ridiculous. And a lot of us are responsible for carrying our families. And it's like, we don't have that type of money. You know, I want to help people and do what I can. But again, I have to look after my mom. I have to make sure my grandmother is good, make sure my granny is good, my mom, got godkids, got cousins, etc. So it's like a lot of times the money that we're making as an individual also has to spread across other people in our lives. And once again, it's the holiday season, and it's about to be a treacherous holiday season for a lot of us because we do not have the money to be trying to buy gifts and buy groceries at the same time while also trying to pay bills. Literally, when I got paid on the 30th, since I had to wait basically a month to get paid and still not receive a full paycheck, I had to pay all my bills with that paycheck right then and there because everything was due between the 4th and the 6th. So when I got paid, literally got paid Thursday, and by the time Friday rolled around, I had like $136 and some change. Well, no, 186, well, 200 something. But in theory, from that paycheck, I had like $136 left. And I'm supposed to make that last for 2 weeks. And that's what having a full-time job, that's what having a master's degree, that's what having multiple certifications, that's what having 10 years of experience. And then you wonder why people are leaving these fields. And it's like you get a new job and it's like, is it even worthwhile? You're still not making a decent living. Like, in this day and age, I'm going to just say it. If you're not making 6 figures or close to 6 figures, you're not really going to have much of a decent quality life. And it just needs to be said. Because by the time you pay your bills, and if you start looking in at those of us that have student loans, like, we're always in debt. And here it is, I owe $46,000, but I'm only making $49,280 before taxes and deductions. And that's another thing. Look at how much money is being removed out of your checks, out of your paychecks, out of your gross annual income after taxes and deductions. I'm losing well over $300+ per pay period. I mean, shit, damn near $200 something is going to freaking federal taxes, state taxes, Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. And we're paying for Social Security when, let's be honest, millennials, Gen Z, are we even going to have Social Security for us to be even able to pull out later? Probably not, but we're paying into something that we're not going to benefit from. I'm just keeping it real. I know I am not the only person who's just really getting fed up. Like, it's at the point where you lose motivation to even show up at these jobs. Because what's the point? I'm not making a living. I'm literally basically getting a fucking allowance and then being told, oh, make it last. You're not giving us anything. I'm going to put a link to the CPI Consumer Price Index inflation calculator in the description box. I really encourage all of you to go to that website, type in how much money you're currently making, and you can type in your gross annual income, or you could type in your net income, whichever you want to type in. And look how much buying power the money that you're making today would have had 20, 25, 30, 35 years ago. Because if I go back to January of 2000, like, I I was 7 years old in January of 2000, about to turn 8, 10 months later in October, right? So January 2000, my $49,280 gross annual salary had the buying power of $89,000 plus dollars. So fast forward today, how come I'm not being paid $89,000 plus dollars? And then you wonder why a lot of us are leaving these fields altogether, because we have to be honest. We're going to have to pivot into something else. A lot of us are living in denial about it, but the reality of the matter is we're going to have to pivot into a different field or career, because these jobs are not paying people enough to constantly stick around. Like, I'm sorry, but we have responsibilities, and people get tired of living check to check. People get tired of having to work 2 and 3 jobs still to be broke. So a lot of us are looking at our career fields like, okay, it's time for a change. You know, I've basically been doing the same work for a decade, and I'm like, yeah, it's time for me to get into something a lot more lucrative, because this is not it. You know, I'm thankful to have a job, to have benefits, to have a career, to have this option to earn money so I can take care of myself and my family. And at the same time, I'm tired of being underpaid. It is what it is. You know, I went from making $40K to $42,000 because at my previous job, I got a 5% raise after being there for 2 years. That's a whole nother problem, is that we're not guaranteed raises and promotions, despite the fact that we're having great performance reviews and we're doing really well in our position. And I ended up getting a better paying job. Got the offer October 16th, started November 6th. And I went from $42K in September with that 5% raise, a $2,000 raise after 2 years, to $49,280. So essentially, I ended up getting a $7,280 raise. But in theory, it was more like a $9,280, because literally, I got the raise like September 14th, September 15th, and then I accepted another job October 16th, and then I started the job November 6th. So I didn't even get a full 2 months with that actual raise. But the out cold part is, even now, you can't really tell the difference. You can't. Because I didn't really see any change with the 5% raise. Oh, wow, you get an extra $116 for the month. Like, seriously, when you look at inflation, you look at today's cost of living, you look at the price gouging, that ain't no money. You know what I'm saying? It's not any money. And then, like I said, it doesn't matter. I owe $46,000 in student loan debt. So, again, I'm not really making any money here. And I'm just going to say it. I feel like my degree was a huge waste of time. I'm just going to go on and call a thing a thing. I feel like all of my degrees were a waste of time, because at the end of the day, we need to be looking at return on investment. And a lot of us are sitting up here with degrees that have little to no return on investment. Again, people are going to college, racking up all of this debt to make what they could have made without the damn degree. And so that's why I'm like, this is ridiculous. There was no need for me to be getting a master's degree or a bachelor's for that. I could have stopped at an associate's and would have been a hell of a lot better, because I wouldn't have had the student loan debt. And then, like I've been saying, we're paying what used to be considered rent to drive a fucking car. Like, why are car notes $400 plus a month, on top of the fact that you still have to have car insurance, on top of the fact that you still have to renew your tags every year, on top of the fact that you still have everyday car maintenance, you know, oil changes, oil filters, getting new brake pads, you might need new tires, you might have a sensor that needs to be updated. You never know. Something is always happening. And then groceries. It's like, what is going on? And like I said, it's the holiday season, and a lot of us are about to be going broke trying to keep up with the Joneses. Or, I can understand if you have children, because children, they're not really going to be able to understand why you can't afford to buy them what they ask for on their Christmas list or their holiday gift list. But I know I stand with a lot of people when I say we are all frustrated and sick and tired of this shit.